Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom cheat death.
To cheat death is a power only one has achieved. But if we work together, I know we can discover the secret.
It can even help you cheat death, get a second chance, make your life better when all the odds are against you.
If you cheat death, you escape a dangerous situation with your life. You don't die.
To succeed in staying alive in an extremely dangerous situation.
As a racing driver, he was involved in many serious crashes and had cheated death on several occasions.
The doctors were amazed that I recovered from the virus, saying that I had cheated death.
Don't do dangerous and daft things, don't cheat death, don't make fun of each other's misfortunes.
Идиома имеет значение едва избежать серьезной ситуации или несчастного случая, которые могли бы привести к смерти.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom let one's hair down.
It's called Historian IRL, and it's a place for me to let my hair down and talk a bit about life as a historian, give advice, and do general vloggy things.
This is my first hangover on Delos, which is actually unbelievable.
That's good. You've been good.
Yeah, I've been good, but I did let my hair down last night. That's for sure.
Yes.
So I went on a holiday, my first holiday in about 10 years, and I went skiing and skydiving and bungee jumping and really let my hair down.
To feel relaxed and comfortable enough to act and do what you want without worrying what other people will think.
It's nice to let your hair down once in a while and go a bit wild.
After a long week at work, I like to let my hair down and go out with my friends.
I am usually very reserved, but when I'm with my closest friends, I can let my hair down and be myself.
Идиома имеет значение расслабиться и вести себя свободно, не беспокоясь о том, что могут подумать другие люди.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom have a bone to pick.
I have a bone to pick with you. Your website has Manhattan DA. You are not the Manhattan DA. Come on, fess up. You're supposed to be truth, justice, and the American way. You lie.
Even today, many fundamentalist Christians, driven by belief in the literalness of the scripture, still have a bone to pick with areas of science like evolution, paleontology, or cosmology.
Lucy, I have a bone to pick with you. It's quite a nice diplomatic way, in my opinion, to confront an issue with someone. Instead of saying, I want to talk to you about a problem, I have a bone to pick with you.
To be angry with somebody about something and want to discuss it with them.
I have a bone to pick with my roommate about the rent payment.
The employees had a bone to pick with the management over the new policy.
Miss Kenglow had a bone to pick with her neighbor whose dog had nearly killed her cat.
Идиома используется для выражения недовольства или несогласия с кем-то или чем-то, которые являются источником раздражения, и желания решить эту проблему.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom have butterflies in one's stomach.
Anytime I do something new, anytime I sort of, do that thing I'm scared to do, or even a little bit nervous, anytime I have butterflies in my stomach doing a new project, meeting a new group of people, whatever the case may be, you're always better for it.
I have butterflies in my stomach. How do I talk to people? Has anyone ever told you guys you look like the Jonas Brothers? Excuse me, sir? Has anyone ever told you you look like The Rock?
If I was to say I have butterflies in my stomach, it means that I'm nervous about something.
To have a very nervous feeling in your stomach before doing something.
I almost didn't go on stage and perform tonight, because I had butterflies in my stomach.
Tomorrow is my first day at a new school. I have butterflies in my stomach. I hope that I am able to find all of my classes.
I'm going out on a date with John tonight. I'm so nervous that I have butterflies in my stomach.
Идиома означает чувствовать нервозность, неуверенность или беспокойство перед важным событием или выступлением.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom pop the question.
I think about 6 months till I actually, thought I might pop the question. And it was one of those horrible moments.
If you're in this situation wondering why he won't pop the question and worrying that you might be wasting your time, then you're watching the right video.
And this one is to pop the question. Again, have a look at these three possibilities and decide which one you think is the correct definition for this idiom.
To ask someone to marry one.
So we were having dinner in this Italian restaurant, and that's when he popped the question.
He popped the question in a text message? That's the worst proposal I've ever heard of.
Maggie was head over heels in love with Stuart, so when he popped the question, she said yes without any further thought. Идиома означает просить кого-то выйти за тебя замуж.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom think outside the box.
And to be able to do that, you need to think out of the box. You need to think about things that haven't been thought about before.
I think we push our athletes to think outside the box, which creates this really creative environment that we wouldn't have if we were just sitting in an office.
The easiest way to think outside the box is to not know where the box is.
To think about something, or how to do something, in a way that is new, different, or shows imagination.
Everybody in the design company was encouraged to think outside the box in order to be creative.
I've been trying to think outside the box about what I want this term paper to be about. I know the professor hates unoriginal ideas.
They need to be able to think out of the box and move their role away from a purely technical focus.
Идиома используется, чтобы показать, что человек думает творчески и может рассматривать проблемы с неожиданных точек зрения вместо использования традиционных подходов.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom slap on the wrist.
That same thing is going on all across the country all day long every day with all kinds of criminals that you'll never know who they are, but they're doing just that same damage and they're getting that same slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no, it's $5.5 million. A veritable slap on the wrist for a company that made $7.6 billion in just the last quarter of 2021 alone.
Me too.
And a lot of times when we say justice, what do justice really look like? Because I don't have my son. These people go home to their family. They never get time. They never do jail time. They get a slap on the wrist, pay a fine, or lose vacation time. That's not justice.
A warning or mild punishment reprimand for doing something wrong.
I thought I'd get a slap on the wrist for speeding, but I got fined $500.
Other than a few slaps on the wrist, the general went unpunished.
The principal gave the student a slap on the wrist for having damaged a piece of school furniture.
Идиома означает незначительное наказание или легкий выговор за проступок. Часто используется для описания ситуации, когда кто-то, обладающий властью, деньгами, социальным положением, получает незначительное наказание за совершение преступления. Употребляется как в качестве существительного, так и глагола.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom cost an arm and a leg.
On occasion, a barn find or abandoned project might come up for sale for a decent price, like our $10,000 super project, and they'll cost you an arm and a leg to get back on the road, with even simple interior parts being super hard to find and costing a fortune.
So while we wait for the next mania to start and the next bubble to burst, treat yourself to a bouquet of tulips and enjoy the fact that you didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for them.
If I say my bag cost an arm and a leg, I mean it cost a lot of money.
To be extremely expensive.
I'd love to buy a new car, but I don't want to spend an arm and a leg on it.
The wedding reception was extravagant and beautiful, but it must have cost the bride's parents an arm and a leg.
It would be best if you visited that restaurant. The food is really good and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg.
Идиомы используются для описания чего-то чрезвычайно дорогого или приобретаемого по очень высокой цене.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom put a sock in it.
Top work, Destiny. Good job. Well deserved. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter who wins.
Oh, put a sock in it, Chris. Destiny, announce the winner.
That's 4 falls for Slimy, and I don't think he can catch up now, Oscar.
Hey, will you put a sock in it there, Gabby? Oh, come on, Slimy, get up.
I thought to be a baseball player, you needed to know how to hit, or catch, or throw.
Put a sock in it, Redwood.
Used to tell somebody to stop talking or making a noise.
I should have put a sock in it instead of agreeing that my girlfriend looked fat in her swimsuit.
The teacher asked the students politely to be quiet several times, and when they didn't, she finally yelled, "Put a sock in it," and they shut up.
I wanted the passengers sitting behind me to put a sock in it, but they looked really mean and I was worried they'd talk even louder.
Данная идиома является очень грубым способом сказать кому-то, кто ведет себя шумно или раздражает других своей чрезмерной болтовней, чтобы он вел себя тихо или прекратил говорить.
Define the Russian equivalent of the English idiom elephant in the room.
And of course, the elephant in the room. How do you balance this with the rights of self-determination of another people, the Palestinians, who lay claim to the same piece of real estate?
And we don't feel like that issue really has got the traction it needs to have to really effectively address this issue. It's a bit of an elephant in the room, if you like.
And somehow we seem to be either oblivious to it or perhaps more dangerously indifferent to it. We'll call this the elephant in the room.
A problem or question that everyone knows about but does not mention because it is easier not to discuss it.
I don't want to ask the question, but it is the big elephant in the room.
When I had dinner with my parents, the elephant in the room was the fact that I'm 45 years old and still single.
We all sat sipping our tea quietly, no one wanting to bring up the elephant in the room about Joel's expulsion from college.
Идиома обозначает нечто, о чем все знают, но предпочитают молчать, потому что это неприятно, или вызывает дискомфорт, или может привести к конфликту.